Well, yeah, from 20-year-old dope smokers to 25-year-old dope smokers. There's not a great deal of variation, really. It's usually 18 to 25-year-old dope smokers and a few sort of hippies that have crawled out of the woodwork.
People sparking up in the auditorium?
Depends. I mean, like, it depends on the venue. Obviously, if it's at a club or a kind of students' union, yeah, they're all sort of skinning up and sparking up. If it's at a theatre, obviously, like where you can't even smoke cigarettes, then usually they don't. You're only allowed to on stage then. There's a fight. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's part of my act to sort of light up a joint on stage and dare every plainclothes cop in the audience to come and bust me. I mean, that sort of thing, Not that they ever would, I shouldn't think.
No, not yet, not as yet.
I don't think so, because, I mean, the cops really aren't. I mean, I don't see they being the enemy sort of legalization at all. I mean, almost all the cops I meet, and I meet a hell of a lot of them, can't afford it, really. So I suppose they're just glad to have some lunatic like me who they know and kind of fairly familiar with. They weren't happy with me. They'd assassinate me, wouldn't they? So it's okay.
So it doesn't bring. I mean, obviously you're very open about smoking dope.
Oh, sure, of course, yeah.
It doesn't bring unwanted attention from the authorities at
No.
all.
I mean, I think most of the authorities, certainly any sort of drug cop or anything like that, knows my position, and knows that if they looked in my pocket, if you looked in my pocket now, you'd find some dope for sure, any time of the day, unbustable. But so they obviously decided not to bust me.
So do you get up?
Did you do you start an interview?
Yeah, I was just chatting.
Yeah, just a cut would be difficult for editing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you don't mind,
No, just whatever you want. Just do whatever you want. I'm just talking away.
Okay, well, your book, Mr. Nice, has been a phenomenal success. When you was writing it, did you know you was going to be on something big?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, the biggest surprise, and this really astonished me, was that young people read it. Because they certainly weren't the target audience I had in mind. I had in mind people my age, kind of to give them a bit of nostalgia, really, or something like that. I wanted to be a role model for geriatrics, I think, more than anything else. So I was astonished that, people several decades younger than I was bought it. I mean, I'm still astonished, really.
And obviously, through your book, you're actually, you're a bit of a hero when it comes to the young dope smoking to the population. How does that make you feel?
Well, obviously I like it. I mean, I think if it had happened when I was younger, I would have been sort of rather irresponsible with the sort of use of this kind of celebrity. But now I just hope and pray that I use it for responsible ends, which as far as I'm concerned is just to try to legalize marijuana. So I don't want to be sort of silly about it.
What sort of opportunities has it opened for you?
All sorts, particularly in the writing area. I mean, Mr. Nice, was just an autobiography, and I've written books on drugs, but now I'm writing about things other than drugs, which is handy for the old age pension, sort of travel articles and things. So it's opened up all that. It's opened up in particular, I mean, more than anything else, opened up a sort of knowledge and understanding of today's music, which I don't think I'd have ever had, without going around pubs and reading books and things. So the interaction with the music thing has been a wonderful opening for me. And I suppose just being a minor celebrity of some kind just gives you access to other celebrities, most of whom kind of deserve their fame. They have some talent or some interest, so it's quite nice linking around with those sometimes.
I mean, obviously, you talked about the music there. You've obviously got an album coming out.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, it came about, I suppose, partly as a result of what I was talking about, meeting a lot of sort of musicians, with me trying to turn them on with stuff that no one had listened to for like 30 or 40 years, and they trying to turn me on with stuff that they'd just sort of come out, and each of us succeeding in some sort of ways. So the album I brought out is just a compilation of all the stuff that I used to like and still like, and all the stuff that knocked me sixth when I heard it for the first time recently.
And all your own choices?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there were one or two that we couldn't get clearance for, you know what that business is like. I mean, sometimes I couldn't get clearance for the tracks that I'd chosen, but by and large, I would think about 90% of what I chose, we got clearance for.
It's funny the way it's laid out because you've got some quite mellow, chilled out tracks, and then all of a sudden you've got a house track that comes.
Yes,
in.
yeah,
Well, is
yeah.
that intentional? Sort of?
Yes, it is. I mean, each track is what I would like to listen to next for whatever reason, you know. And with a sort of CD that long, obviously, you know, I'm not a DJ or a mixer or anything like that. I can't build it up over, you know, sort of an hour and a half into a sort of massive climax at the end, whatever I'm doing. You know? So it's so yes, it does slow down, you know, quite a lot, you know, and sort of like, but only to come back up again. So it is a bit of a magic carpet right through it, I hope.
You do a bit of MCing on it as well.
Yeah, I know, yeah. No, I won't make any comment on that.
Okay. Can you tell us about some of the particular choices that you've put on the album? Is there any
Yeah,
stand out?
I mean, I suppose the oldest ones were recorded first in 1960. I mean, things like Johnny Kidd and the Pirates and Billy Fury, you know, which don't exist a lot in the shops these days. So from 1960, I think the most recent one is Mint Royale's Blue Song, which is 2002, you know, so it's, you know, covers over 40 years. Quite a lot of 60s stuff, because that's when I fell in love with music to a massive degree. Some 70s, some early Clash stuff, and also some left field. When I came out of prison, which was 95, I think the left field leftism album had just come out, and I asked Martin Deason, actually of Loaded, he was running Loaded there, which is the best album. I've lost 8 years of music, you know, which is the best, and he played that. I just fell in love with it immediately. I mean, because like in my day, if you went to a dance, you couldn't just go up and dance. You know, if you went dance by yourself, they thought you were insane. If you danced with your mates, they thought you were gay. You know, you couldn't just go and dance. You had to go through this kind of romantic overture, you know, before you could actually get on the floor and dance. That's changed a lot, and I love the way Left Field in particular brought the sort of dance floor into the living room, if you like, you know, because it's a terribly hard thing to do. So there is some heavy house stuff there, and it's odd because I've been studying African rhythms lately, and house isn't one of them. I always thought it was some kind of back to the roots thing, but it's not, is it? It's very, very new.
Do you think you know, cannabis and marijuana has actually influenced a lot of the sounds that you've chosen on the album?
Oh, yes, yeah. I mean, I appreciated music a lot more. I liked it before I ever smoked marijuana. I appreciated it a lot more after smoking marijuana, and certainly appreciated sort of dance music far more as a result of taking ecstasy. So, I mean, I do think there's an overlap and a necessary influence from one to the other.
How much do you think, you know, what the drugs that have been taken in society actually affect culture? And
Oh, I think a lot. Well, I mean, there's never been a culture or society that hasn't had a psychoactive drug. I think the one exception is some funny tribe of Eskimos. Now they're all alcoholics. But I mean, I think that was the only one in history that didn't use some sort of drug to get out of it. I mean, we've all been doing it since the beginning of time, and we've all got the brains to handle it.
so, is there any particular tracks in the album that your favourites, or actually bring back memories? Or
Yeah. I mean, the Who I can see for miles. When that first came out, that was, you know, I just kept playing it all the time. And I was so delighted that they gave clearance for it. I mean, that was one I didn't expect, you know, because they don't need my help, you know, in any sort of way. So that's definitely one of my favourites. The Left Field one, of course, After Left, which is the second track on leftism, is now an all-time favourite of mine. And I like very much a DJ called Fluke. I don't know if you know him. And there's a track there called Absurd, which, you know, I still love, you know.
Do you get to meet many of these people?
Yeah, quite a lot, because when I started doing book readings, I mean, it was in bookshops and things like that. Well, of course, I didn't meet any, but I didn't like that kind of atmosphere. So I started doing it in clubs and pubs, and that's when I'd meet DJs and bands and things like that. And we had a lot in common, in particular music and drugs. And just became very friendly and, you know, developed friendships as a result.
Okay, moving on to your live show. Tell us a bit about what actually features in the show, and what you do.
As it is now, it's a sort of constantly evolving thing, and sort of did in fact evolve from simple book readings. But I just wanted to make two things really, to make a book reading more exciting, because most authors just go up there and grab their book and read from it, you know, whereas in fact they didn't actually write it to be read from a stage. They wrote it to be read going to sleep or something like that. So I modified a lot of the book to try to make it, more acceptable to stage, threw in some videos and, music where it seemed appropriate to sort of grab a kind of mood I was trying to convey, and also trying to make legalization politics more exciting or more entertaining, really, because everyone's so bored, with the arguments for and against legalization, that I just tried to make that funny, really.
I mean, as you said, the arguments for and against have been going on for a long time.
Yeah, and everyone's sick of them, is it?
But, of recent, you've seen the reclassification.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
do you feel about that?
Well, obviously I welcomed it. I mean, I could, it's not enough and it's too little and it's too late, etc. But I really welcome it, and I noticed that it has had a huge effect on people. I mean, it's like, half the kids now think it's okay to smoke dope. They didn't before, so they've always taken it as a green light, And that combined with the sort of, things like the Lambeth Police initiative, of just not busting people. That's great. It's all good. It's obviously heading in that direction, and that's great.
So what will happen to you once it becomes legal? What happens then?
Well, I'd be out of a job, but I mean that doesn't matter at all. I mean, I would, I don't know how much I'd sacrifice to see legalization tomorrow. I'd probably be prepared to sacrifice my life to see it. And
really?
I'm that keen on it. Yeah, I'd certainly sacrifice my income.
I mean, your history as a drug smuggler has actually brought you quite a lot of fame and fortune, obviously, and it's also cost you 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, it brought fortune while I was a drug smuggler, and fame when I got caught. I never had the two at the same time, unfortunately. But yeah, 9 years in prison. But you see, I mean, there's far worse tragedies that can happen to people other than being banged up for several years. It's not that hard, especially as you knew it was the downside of the game you were playing. So I don't see myself as a case for tragedy or sympathy or anything.
Would you change anything at all?
No, not a thing. Because I'm okay now, so it'd be silly to risk it.
So what's next for you then? I mean, you've got the books and you've got the album.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have long-term plans. I used to, but none of them worked. I sort of abandoned those and only do short-term plans. And I suppose the immediate one is to, promote the album as best I can. And I've also been commissioned to write a travel book on South America, which I've started doing. I've made one visit to Brazil. I'll be going to Panama next, and maybe spending Christmas Day in Patagonia, which all sounds a lot of fun and good stuff. And
make sure you empty your pockets before you do.
Don't worry.
Great. Well, thanks very much for coming in.
No, thanks for your interest. Thank you.